This is Las Vegas Vantage with your host, Rocky Dickerson.
Hi, I'm Rocky Dickerson with Realty One Group. This is Las Vegas Vantage. Now, here on Las Vegas Vantage, we do talk about the real estate here in Las Vegas, but more importantly, we cover the community of Las Vegas, the people that make this such a great place to live. And today we have some very special guests, folks that I've known for about 10 years. Today we have Michelle and Vance Shepherd. Guys, welcome and thank you for being on the program today.
Hey, Rocky, good to be here with you.
Now, I tell you how I came to learn of these folks. They often play worship at my church where I attend, and they are awesome musicians, and they have a long-standing history of being musicians here in Las Vegas. In fact, Vance, didn't you move to Las Vegas when you were 8 years old?
I did, from California to Vegas, but I grew up here, so.
That's great. Now, I understand that your parents were also musicians here.
Yes. So my mother was the first singer for the Folies Bergère at the Tropicana, one of the only original standing hotels. So she was the showgirl in the middle singing while all the, the dancers with, how they would dance. and
the feathers.
The big feathers and all this kind of thing. So, yeah.
So then you were exposed to some very unique things as a young child.
I was backstage. I remember the little red Fender lights on the amps and, the 50-piece orchestras under the stage. They don't have that anymore. That went away with the synthesizer. But I remember looking at those guitar amps going, man, I want to do that. They bring me a Shirley Temple, the 7-Up and the grenadine in it.
Right.
Like, this is good. It's got cherries in it, So she went on to be the Hello Hollywood singer in Reno for 9 years. She toured her whole life, raised 3 boys by herself, single mother, have a special place in my heart for single mothers. 3 boys. We were all musicians, so.
Wow, that's great. So, I got to imagine back in the day, you might have met some very interesting people as a child.
Yeah, they wore feathers and stuff. It was wild.
And then you toured across the country for a number of years with some great big names. Is that correct?
Went on tour. The rock band was called Nemesis. We found ourselves recording at Triad Studios in Bellevue, Washington, where Hart was doing their Dog and Butterfly album. Steve Miller was doing their Fly Like an Eagle album, all those hits on it. And then, of course, Queensryche was there, too, at the same time we were recording. And so that band was 9 years. I found myself in Reno where I met Michelle. And about the time I met Michelle, I get a call on the phone. We just got married, and Michael Sweet from Stryper calls me. He's like, hey, I got this tour. Let's go on this tour. And we had just been married a week. I was like, yeah, this probably won't go so well. So anyway, that tour never happened. He got caught up in a legal battle. So then probably about a year and a half later, I get a call. Ricky Hendricks, which was Jimmy's cousin, hooked me up with Buddy Miles and Billy Cox, which was the band of gypsies for Jimi Hendrix.
Sure.
So I did that tour with him for 2 years.
Now, I understand there's quite an interesting story about how you and Michelle met.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, we met actually. Vance had been touring with Nemesis around the world for about 9-10 years and ended up landing in the Reno Tahoe area. And I was living there at the time. And I walked into a music store, and lo and behold, I see this guy with hair literally down, basically to his butt. And just this amazing keyboard player, and the rest is history. We went out on our first date the day that we met, and we went out and played pool, drank root beer, and just talked for hours, and the rest is history. And that was nearly 32 years ago.
And for those that aren't familiar with you two, both of you are brilliant multi-instrumentalists and brilliant vocalists. And so I can just imagine what would happen when the two of you got together for the first time.
Oh, it was great. It was funny because he ended up, we weren't even, touring together or anything. We were just dating. And, he had a lot of little gigs and stuff scattered throughout the Reno Tahoe area. And there was a gig that he didn't have a singer for. And I was like, well, I could probably just step in and just fill some shoes until he finds like the real female to take that role. And we ended up doing that gig, and we were like, that wasn't so bad. Like maybe we could, do something with this. And so we did. And we ended up touring together for 18 years, basically living on the road about 7 months out of the year. Our home was a glorified storage shed for our furniture. And we just lived on the road. It was awesome.
Yeah. And prior to her, as like I went through singers like crazy because, in this industry, there's drugs and alcohol,
Yeah.
man. I'd get like no call, no show. So I'm up there, without, just doing it all myself, which I was fine doing,
Sure.
but almost like you had to have that prop, but when she came in, Michelle, she solid as a rock, she just like Pastor Michelle, music director, now for 11 years at the Crossing, so.
So now I imagine you must have some wild stories about things that happen on the road.
Nah.
No, quite boring, huh?
Yeah, there's some wild stories. Some of
They're
them,
not appropriate for your channel.
some of them
Rocky.
are gross. Some of them are inappropriate. Some of them are just funny. There's one that
No.
you don't want to do it. He doesn't want to do it. Okay. I'll just tell you one of my funny ones. It was really, really embarrassing. So, okay, we were out at the Casablanca. Y'all know where the Casablanca is out in Mesquite, right?
Right.
We were in the showroom there and doing one of our shows, and the last song of that set was "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" from Shania Twain. So we're dating myself a little bit, but you have to have attitude when you sing that song. So I'm literally, the showroom's packed. It's a Friday night, and I'm literally just delivering that song. And I get to that last line where you're like, "I feel like a woman," and I go to like step back. And my heel got caught on the guitar amp, which was next to the drums. And I think it took me about 15 seconds of flailing to finally hit the ground. And I literally, like, my toenail came off, like it was gross. Seriously. And the whole audience was just like, oh, like, what happened? Like, I'm laying on the ground. They had to call in,
Paramedics.
to make sure I was okay. And, but I had a decision that night, because I remember when I went home, I was so mortified. Like, I felt like the whole world had just seen me biff it. Right. And I was in the shower that night, and I was like, man, I feel like I should never go on stage again. Like, I just feel weird about even going back out there. And I literally, that next night, I had to force myself. That Saturday night, I had to be like, I'm going back out there like nothing happened, and I'm just going to do my thing, and powered through, and sore toe and all. And yeah, it was funny.
That's wild. So how about any unique stories here in Las Vegas? I know, like, there was actually a friend of mine was a drummer for a band called the Coach Twins. That one night, all of a sudden, this guy named
Mike Zerby.
Yeah. I was there the night he met, was it Johnny Lightfoot? And that's when he became a member of Air Supply.
Awesome.
Okay.
That's cool.
So have you had any really unique experiences with meeting stars when you're playing a gig here in Vegas?
There's too many that I could even remember. I remember George Clooney was at
George
the
Clooney
Nugget
came and watched our show.
T.D. Shepherd was actually going to release one of our originals, our Christian originals. We were in Jackpot of all places, and I remember I was he was at the craps table, and he was in the showroom at the time, and I remember I said, hey, I want to dedicate this song to T.D. Shepherd, because I knew he was in originals. He had a big part in Elvis being signed. I don't know if you knew that.
RCA Records.
With RCA, he signed a ton of Glenn Campbell. I mean, like, he was massive in the music industry. So I didn't know this at the time, but I dedicated this song to him, and he stopped at the table, and he looked up, and he left the craps table. I thought, oh gosh, we're fired now, because they're losing his money. He came and sat at the bar, and then we got done, and he came and met us, and he took us out to breakfast the next morning, and let me buy you guys lunch, blah, blah. He's like, I want to cover that song. And on his album, I was going to have Jimmy Buffett, Bruce Hornsby, oh my gosh, a plethora of huge people, but him. It got hooked up in a legal battle. The album never went forth. Who knows what would have happened to that song? It's one of our originals that we have out now. I had Michelle cover it, called "In Your Shadow." So that's just one of the many, But back to the Vegas thing. So the music industry all over the country, as you know, when the digital platforms came out, it all changed, man.
Oh yeah.
And likewise, when DJs started coming out, they're the new rock stars. You know what I'm saying? Props to the DJs. But check it out. So the whole, because we could hire one guy instead of 6 with the full PA system and provide a venue with light show. You know what I'm saying? Let's get all the chicks out there dancing. I got one guy spinning. So back. I say that to say this. Back, dude. When I grew up here in Vegas, it was like no joke. I don't know who was on the scene or if you were familiar with it. But in the 80s and early 90s, these places were glorified rock halls. I mean, we would have Brian Setzer would come in and see us. The guy from Blackie Lawless from Wasp, all these big guys would come in and see us in these clubs. And I remember one of the club owners come, he said, I got 2 rules. This place from 9 in the morning till 9 at night, it's mine. But 9 at night to 1 in the morning, it's yours. And I don't want it, and all the drinks are on me. And I don't want it any lower than 120 dB. I was like, right on.
That never happens anymore. Oh my God.
So I remember coming up to, they would do the opening song. I'd be outside, and dude, the walls of the building would be going poof, poof, from the subwoofer, right? And then you go in, you got the full blown light show and hazer, and it was a rock scene was on steroids in that era. It's a done era. It doesn't happen anymore.
That's wild. Well, gosh, I mean, you guys have been in Vegas for quite some time. Tell me, what are some of your favorite things about Vegas? Like, for instance, what's your favorite restaurant here in town?
The Cleaver.
Oh yeah, we don't even have to hesitate. That is that's my.
I should get paid for saying that. Someone should pay me for that.
I think they should.
They should give me a free dinner.
Absolutely, at least once a month, because we send so many people there. It is such a cool experience. The food is amazing. It literally tops anything I think that we've probably ever had.
All over the country. We've been all over the country. We've traveled so much, man. We've been in great restaurants.
We love food.
Food is like our thing. It's like our thing. Yeah. Osaka for Japanese food. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And Ricardo, Eddie's
for Mexican.
Eddie's. I don't know who's familiar with Eddie's, but Eddie's was the old Macao of Vegas. It was 60 years here in Vegas. It was the premier Mexican restaurant. And I think what happened is maybe the siblings of the owners maybe took it over because they sold it with all the recipes to Eddie's. So it's the same food.
Oh, gotcha.
Our favorite is the Cleaver.
Yeah.
So how about activities that you enjoy here in Las Vegas?
Oh,
shooting pool.
Yeah, we do. We shoot pool all the time. We love playing pool together.
Volleyball.
Yeah, we love volleyball. The weather is great. Literally 8 months out of the year, we're out there playing volleyball all the time. We have a group that we do life with, that we get out there with. And man, there's so much to do because it's a 24-hour city. So you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, basically.
Nice.
But, yeah, we just love, hanging out with people and just having great weather that we have here. And we get great concerts that come through town, great bands, it's great.
Well, speaking of which, what are your favorite artists and shows here in town?
There was only one show that we really dug, and it didn't last long. It was called Storm because they had a whole live band behind it. They were all up on the rafters and the corners, and it was awesome.
It was one of the most amazing shows we ever saw.
But that again, too, back in the late 70s, early 80s, there was the Aladdin of the Performing Arts. Now I've seen everyone there. I saw Genesis, Styx, Kansas, Foreigner. John LePonte was at the hall at UNLV. It was a smaller venue, but the big concerts, Styx, Boston, Emerson, Lake and Palmer was at the Aladdin Performing Arts. That was the premier concert hall back in the day.
Yes, I remember. I actually I was visiting one year back in '79 and saw Alice Cooper with the Babies there.
There you go.
There you go.
With Jonathan Cain on keyboards. This Now a Journey. Did you know that?
What was that?
Jonathan Cain was the keyboard player.
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge Jonathan Cain fan.
He was the one that wrote all the top hits for Journey, predominantly him and Steve Perry. He did all the piano stuff,
Definitely. Well, now what I understand as well is that you've got a new focus that you're really passionate about because you've seen some of the things that have happened to some of the musicians out there. And gosh knows especially lately, we've lost some greats. We really have. But you've got a new focus on health that you're really pursuing. And tell me a little bit about that. Yeah.
Go ahead, Michelle.
That's a loaded question. We're so passionate about it because we've seen, especially through COVID, Vance and I have always been avid nutrition fanatics, health fanatics, trying to, help all of our friends and family keep their immune system strong and all that. And when COVID hit, not only did it just knock people off of their healthier rhythms that they might have been doing at the time, but so many people just feel kind of lost, and we we took that time during COVID to really hone up everything that we were doing with nutrition and health. We went out and got our nutrition certifications. Vance has now been a fitness coach and a trainer for the last 7 years, really just one-on-one helping people, get from here to there. And then, lowering inflammation in our bodies is so key. We had 3 musicians that we, toured with, that we knew and loved. We know their families, we know their kids, all of that pass away. And that is so absolutely heartbreaking, especially when they're young, especially when they're 30 something, 40 something, 50 something. You're like, that is way too early to leave this world. And we feel like, it's during this second half of our life, like we want to get out there and put our hands and feet to something that can really be a life changer for people. And so not only are we focusing on physical health, we're focusing on spiritual health. We're born again Christians. We love Jesus. We're all about, the church and serving people in that way. But now we are also segueing even into mental wellness, because mental wellness is really, man, it's not taboo to talk about it anymore. People know that there's something not right. We've got 1 in 4 Americans that are struggling with mental health issues right now. We have children under the age of 5 years old being clinically diagnosed with mental disorders. That is absolutely insane. 18 to 25-year-olds, every 90 minutes, one of them is committing suicide. And we also have suicide occurring every 10 minutes, just across the board. And so it's time to talk. It's time to get it out there. It's time to bring awareness and to have, a real tangible vessel that we can reach into people's lives with and give them real results and real relief.
Gotcha. So how can people reach you with your focus that you have now on the complete holistic health?
Absolutely. So both of us are on all the socials. So I'm sure you'll probably share that information. A lot of people, that's just the easiest way for them to reach out. If they find us on Facebook, if they find us on Instagram, we'll have our email addresses that you can get a hold of us. Vance is also going to leave his cell phone number. If you're struggling in any of those areas, if you're struggling in physical health and your body isn't able to do what you know that it should be able to do, and maybe it's struggling up here, maybe it's the alarm clock goes off every morning and you don't know why you're getting up. That purpose, isn't there, and that passion for life isn't there. Like, there are people out there that really care and that really, really want to help. And that's really where we see our focus is, man. Music is such a powerful emotional vessel as well. And so that's why we're passionate about teaching kids music, because we know if we can decrease their screen time and we can get them involved in creative things and actually playing a real instrument and making noise and creating chords and writing lyrics to songs, they can express themselves. Like, that's therapy right there. That's one of the mental wellness therapies is actually music. So everything really does go hand in hand.
So we'll have all of your contact information in the description of this video, that when people are pulling this up on YouTube, everything will be there. And gosh, Michelle, Vance, thank you guys so much for being with us here today on Las Vegas Vantage.
You got it, man.
Thank you, Rocky. You're awesome.
And we want to thank everyone watching today on Las Vegas Vantage. As always, should you be looking to sell or buy real estate here in Las Vegas, I would love to give you superior service. Give me a call at 702-743-7625. Email Rocky at RockySellsVegas.com, and please subscribe to my video channel.